and for celebrating our 5th season with us.
Thank you, Cindy. It's great to be here. I so appreciate this opportunity, so thank you so much. And hello to everyone today.
Yes, and I just want to thank you for, celebrating this season with us. And I know that you are ready to go, so I want to just turn it over to your very capable hands. And you're going to love our community. They are such beautiful beings. And so, again, thank you so much. And I'll join you again at the end of the call.
Thank you, Cindy. So thank you so much. It is wonderful to be together again. Today, I would like to address a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is the consciousness, the awareness, or the awakening that each one of us has as part of our expression of who we are here in this world. We may refer to ourselves as being conscious beings, or we want to improve our consciousness, or awaken our consciousness, or expand our consciousness. And what we're really referring to is the way in which we approach life. That's the reflection of our consciousness. The way in which we approach life is the reflection, or the way that we can begin to recognize our own consciousness. And so when we begin to become more aware, our beliefs start to change. Our responses to life starts to change. Our levels of happiness and prosperity start to change. And our entire world then can begin to also awaken or function from a different level. And this new awakening, this higher level, is something that we talk about as a connection with Source, or as an awakened being, or enlightened being. These are words that we seem to use in our vocabulary, and we aren't really sure what it all means, except that it must mean something very wonderful. So when I refer to Source, I am referring to that place, or that energy, or for some people that being, from which all life flows. It is the essence that creates life and sustains it. And it is the place in my belief system from which each one of us has originated, and the place to which we each return. And however that fits in your belief system is wonderful. We each have our own words for it. Or perhaps you are an individual that has a belief that what we have right now is all there is. And that also is fine, because each one of us is still wanting to have a life that feels comfortable, that feels awakened or alert and responsive to everything around us. We each want to have a life where we feel very loving. We feel both loved and lovable. And this feeling of being lovable is a really important aspect. So I would like to spend just a moment with that. We each have this idea about who we are and how we function in the world and how others respond to us and the ways in which we can help create the life we'd like to have. In other words, to get the response from others or the response from life that makes us comfortable, brings us joy and happiness, a sense of security or perhaps safety, whatever it is that is deep within us in our own longing. So we have these aspects of our personality, and these are based on our belief system. And the beliefs that we each have, many of them are aware. We are aware of those beliefs. And there are many other beliefs that are much quieter. They are more an undercurrent. And it's actually those beliefs which are the more quiet or the more undercurrent or the less conscious that tend to have the greatest influence on who we are and the ways in which we interact and respond to the world. And so as we become more conscious or as we awaken, these beliefs are what begin to shift. And because these beliefs begin to shift, we then, as an individual, begin to respond differently. And as we respond differently, then life responds differently to us. Now, many people have the idea that as we become more spiritual or more conscious or more awakened, that life gets easier. And life becomes more manageable, so therefore it is easier. But the events of life still go on. Life continues however life continues. The events move on. And it is who we are within these events that begins to change. So if you are having a life right now that has challenges in it, and most of us have lives that have challenges in it, then who you are in relationship to those challenges will begin to shift. And as we begin to shift in relationship to our challenges, the challenges then have no longer any purpose. They have come here to help us review or reflect on an aspect of our being, a belief about ourselves, a belief about life or the world, some aspect of our being to assist us then to take the next step into something more wonderful. So every situation in life, whether we like that situation or we don't, every situation in life is here to bring us something wonderful, to move us to the next step. I remember seeing a card one time, and it said something like, "The world is conspiring." And that was the front of the card. And you open the card and it says, "On your behalf." And that really is very accurate. Everything that's going on in life around us is intended to be a gift to our own evolution, our own happiness, our own robust health and vitality. Everything is here to help us review and reflect and perhaps begin to allow those undercurrent beliefs to begin to change into something that is more loving, something that accepts life in a different way, something that recognizes the benefit and has gratitude for the events taking place in our life. Now, I was thinking about a time when I was trying to come up with an example of when I was in a situation that I was having difficulty finding gratitude. So one of my goals always is to see what I can find that will create gratitude for me in whatever situation is there. Because when we can move to gratitude, then we can release whatever's in front of us, whatever's going on. And I remembered a time a number of years ago when I was traveling in India, and I was staying in a place where they, I didn't know, but when they closed down the rooms for the night, when the residence area closed down the rooms for the night, they would walk down the hallway and lock the outside of each door to each one of the rooms. I didn't know that was going to happen. I thought they locked the outer gates or something. And so as I was in the room, I heard this large piece of wood slide down in front of my door and realized that I was locked into the room for the night. And it was a very odd sensation. The room was, to me at the time, very uncomfortable. It really didn't have a place to sleep or any sheets or anything like that. It was just a straw mat on a concrete slab in a very barren room. And my first impulse was one of feeling frightened that I was captive in this room for the night. And it began to concern me. So the first 2 or 3 seconds was this discomfort that somehow I was going to be in this unpleasant situation and unable to leave. And I began to search for what is it I could find to be grateful for. And it was not the bed or the lack of sheets or the bareness of the room. So I kept searching and searching. And I finally realized I am very grateful that at 6 a.m., whatever it is that is barricading the door will be removed and I can leave. And as I reached that point of gratitude, instantly I became very relaxed, very comfortable. I laid down on the simple straw mat and fell sound asleep and didn't wake until after the room was already unlocked and I was free to leave. And so in that moment, to assist myself with the concerns I was having, and this was probably 20 years ago perhaps when I was in India, I found a point of gratitude, and instantly everything shifted. And if we can do something similar, regardless of the situation that we're in, if we can do something similar, we can begin to shift our mind, update our beliefs, reconfigure our biochemistry so that it's sending out an entirely different message to all of the cells in our body, and thereby reach a point of balance. So when we are in situations in life, if we can find that point of gratitude, we stay in this very balanced, joyful, pleasant, peaceful internal space. And from there we can move forward. I knew someone who had a very severe injury one time. He was cutting down some small trees with a chainsaw, and the chainsaw went through the tree and right into his leg. And his first words were, "I am so glad my leg is still there." So rather than focusing on the injury that he had received, which was quite severe, he focused on the gratitude of the limits of the injury. And he was so grateful his leg was still there. And, because of that gratitude then, for the universe then begins to adjust differently to us. And for this particular gentleman, his leg stopped bleeding and began to close up immediately. And it was a very, very severe injury. And this is just an example of how we can begin to transform our lives by the ways in which we choose, and we do have the choice, the ways in which we choose to respond to the events of life. So if we can find a reason to be grateful in even the worst of circumstances, we can then evolve those circumstances very rapidly. And if the circumstance itself is unable to evolve, we will at least find ourselves in a balanced place within those circumstances from which we can make wise choices on our behalf. And so I would like to suggest that you consider looking for gratitude in whatever you can find. Now, I had one person contact me one time and say, "Joe, I've been doing this gratitude thing, and the condition is still there, and I really dislike it." The challenge that we each face is to find a genuine purpose or feeling of gratitude, not a feeling of, "I'm going to try to feel grateful so this will be gone," but rather a genuine feeling of gratitude. And when we have that authentic feeling, then the situation can change. And situations change within the time that it takes for them to change. And I know that is one of those vague statements, and yet that's how life is. We perhaps are unaware of what the timing is that it will take for something to change, and yet if we can be at a place of comfort within that, we can move through to the change more easily. And when we are having a great time, time moves more rapidly. And so we feel comfort and we feel at ease. So I would like to do an energy process. And let me back up just a little bit. For those of you who would like to receive the energy, we will get this energy going and have it, the energy from source, come directly to you for the entire time of this workshop. And the source energy comes to you and knows exactly what is needed, exactly how to benefit you in your life, on your path, with your dreams and your hopes. to support you, to help you, to give you the kind of body that can enjoy life, to give you the kind of mind that is comfortable and at ease, to give you the opportunities that you long for prosperity and abundance, for relationship, for consciousness, for all of the things that each one of us long to have in our lives. So this energy from Source comes to each individual if you would like to receive it. And if you are unsure about energy, or you're unsure about how it works or what happens, then the energy will very respectfully just go right on around you. And if your heart is open to it, if you know that you would like to receive the energy, it will come right to you. So know that free will is always honored, always respected. It is one of the most important rules or gifts or guidelines that we have here in this world, and that is our free will. And free will is deeply honored, deeply respected by anyone working for the genuine well-being and transformation of life here in this world. So free will is your free choice to have something or receive it or not. And so that's why when this work is offered, I always work with your conscious consent, meaning you, the individual, consciously know what's taking place and how the energy is guided to assist you in your life. And that in that way, your free will is being honored, and you can choose or not to let the energy assist you. So I would like to do a process right now about helping to shift our beliefs to something of more gratitude. And so that we can more easily find gratitude in our life, we can more easily move into balance, and we can more easily allow our entire biochemistry to shift into something that will give us the opportunity to make wise choices, to make decisions more easy to know that that next step that will benefit us. So this process right now that we'll do is to assist each one of us to find a genuine feeling of gratitude in life. And when we do an energy process, we do it by sitting quietly. So in a few moments I'll say, let's begin, and we'll just sit quietly. If you know how to keep your mind kind of quiet, that would be great. There's nothing more that you need to do that will improve the energy. This comes right from Source. It is perfect. There is no improvement of any kind needed. So if you can just allow yourself to receive the energy, which could mean sitting quietly, keep your mind quiet, and we'll just sit for probably about a minute while the energy comes through from Source to you to assist you in making the internal changes in your belief and in your mind and in your biochemistry, perhaps, if that's helpful, that will allow you then to more easily find things to feel gratitude about and to hold that feeling of gratitude. So let's begin right now. I'm just going to sit quietly. My eyes will be closed, and we'll allow the energy to flow through, and it will be quiet for about a minute. Let's begin now. All right. Very nice. So if you would bring your attention back now, and we will continue. And the energy is also flowing throughout this entire time, not only during the process. The process is when it will be focused much more intensely and very specifically for a very specific purpose. The rest of the time throughout this, the whole time of this talk, the energy will be flowing to you. And that energy that's flowing to you is to help fill you, a little bit like filling up a gas tank. It will give you a reserve of energy to assist you in your life as you continue on in life. And these other processes that we're doing are for very specific purposes to assist you in your life. So let's move on a little bit and talk a little bit more about acceptance. And this is self-acceptance. It's acceptance about the events going on around us. It is very different than giving up or just allowing in the way where we kind of shut down in order to allow. This type of acceptance is one of great wisdom, one of an understanding of the principles which are at play, and a way to combine your mind awareness to support the interplay of the guidelines of this universe in which we live. And so this level of acceptance helps us to understand that what is happening in our life is the perfect setup. It's essential. It's required. It is the best, fastest, and easiest way to get us to the next step. And so when we have that level of acceptance, that we know that this is here for our benefit, we know deep within our being that this is the perfect way to help us take the next step, which will be absolutely right on course to the next step. And each step brings us into a greater level of connection with Source, divine awakening, perfection in every aspect of our being, and I should say realizing and living in the perfection of every aspect of our being. And so this level of acceptance is part of the awakening consciousness. The awakening consciousness has a number of attributes, and one of them is this understanding or the acceptance of the process that is at play in each one of our lives. And kind of as an aside, everyone is on this journey. And each one of us are on this journey with different levels of conscious participation. And yet every one of us are on this journey. I call it the journey of awakening, or the round trip from source to source, however you choose to think of it. Every single individual is taking this journey. And we each have our very specific route that we take. And when we begin to understand this, then we can begin to allow each person to have their own path, their own choices, their own decisions, and we can respect them. We can support them in their route. And if their path or their journey is so diverse from ours that it is difficult to have them as a partner or work with them or something, then we can find a different route. We don't have to stay connected with them, and yet we have deep respect and deep honoring of their journey, their way, and their learning. And this takes us out of the realm of judgment. If I could help us to have one thing different in our mental approach to life, it would be probably to remove this aspect of judgment, in that we are judging ourselves and others about good and bad, or better than. because the truth is we are all on this journey. We all have our own route, and we all learn about the same things at different times and in different ways. There are just some basics that we need to learn. One is deep respect for ourselves and our journey. The other is deep respect for others and their journey. Another is trusting the unfoldment, trusting the process that is taking place. Another is finding a way to move into gratitude as we go through life. So each one of us is on this journey. Each one of us is learning in our own way, and each one of us takes whatever time it takes. Some individuals comment that, well, I used to be spiritual, or I used to have a much better life, or I used to feel like I was more connected with Source, or I used to feel better about myself, or I used to have more confidence. And now I'm different than that, and I don't like how I'm different. Well, just know that this is a flowing, this is an evolution, this is a transformation, and what you are considering or perhaps recognizing or naming as a decrease in something that you enjoyed having is really just a transition into another level. So perhaps you had those other qualities because of an external environment. Now, can you maintain those qualities as the external environment shifts a little bit? Can you maintain those ideas and beliefs and qualities of confidence and trust and knowing about the goodness of life? Can you maintain as you go through other circumstances? And then the external world will shift again. And so we are continually being gently moved in and out of a variety of circumstances to help us strengthen and really anchor into the firm knowing about trusting the process, recognizing the ways to move into gratitude, staying at a balanced place as we move through life, and allowing ourselves the space to be who we are. And I want to comment just a little bit about that, because sometimes when we think we're supposed to be grateful, or we're supposed to be trusting, or we're supposed to be accepting, or whatever it is, we neglect to honor who we are and the passage or the experience that we are having right now in this moment. And so there may be moments in your journey where you feel like you don't trust the process, or you can't find gratitude, or you don't like who you are, or you don't like what's going on in the world. There may be passages where that takes place. Remember my example of being in India. There was a passage where I felt frightened that I had been closed, locked into this room. And that was part of honoring and recognizing who I am, the humanity that lives here, and the desires of our being for our freedom and our safety. And then we can take the next step. We can consciously choose to take a different step. So rather than staying in that place and dwelling on those fears and concerns and worries, we can take a conscious choice, take a conscious step into the next level of knowing and awareness. So I would like to do a brief process right now to assist each person to take this next conscious step into the trust and the knowing and the self-acceptance, which is like self-respect and self-appreciation and self-love and self-honoring. So to take those next steps in consciousness so that we can more easily make the choice to move into a higher point of thought and a higher point of feeling and emotion, and a higher point, meaning a higher vibration, and higher vibrations are more comfortable to our being. So let's do a process right now that will help us to take this next step to consciousness and to still honor who we are in each moment. Okay, so if you would, again, just allow your mind to be as quiet as you're comfortable, having it quiet, and we'll just sit for a few moments while the energy comes to you directly to assist you in making these conscious choices. When you notice your mind taking off on that road of unhappiness and all those thoughts that follow it, that you'll be able to recognize that and choose a new way to respect yourself and to redirect what it is you're thinking. All right, let's begin now. All right, great. So bring your attention back, please. You know, you might be noticing with the energy that you feel perhaps a little bit relaxed or more comfortable. Those are some of the ways in which you might experience the energy. Some people experience it more directly. You may feel a tingling in your body, or some people actually can see or hear things, but most people, probably almost everyone, just feels like they're sitting quietly, and you might notice that you feel just a little more relaxed than you normally would if you just sat down and closed your eyes for a minute. Or you might feel just a little bit sleepy or perhaps a little bit spacey. And those are all ways that we know that we have moved into what I call an altered state, meaning we are in a different vibrational level than we are in our everyday consciousness. So let's continue. I was beginning to talk about judgment and how that is probably the one item that if we could really change that aspect of our being, that we would notice the greatest transformation in our process of awakening. And when I say judgment, I mean good and bad and better than, or not as good as, right and wrong. All of those dualistic, the duality that we create with our mind. And that falls in the category of judgment, because the mind really is the challenge in our transformation. I know that many of you have followed transformational studies for many years and are quite well informed and advanced. And what we all have learned is that if we were able to, for a moment, really stop the mind in its evaluating and functioning from that evaluation or judgment, that we would nearly instantly be in a fully awakened state. And many of you have had moments where life, for a short period of time, maybe it was only a few seconds, maybe it was a few hours, maybe it was a few days, life was very, very different in a magnificent way. And what you found was that your mind was functioning very differently. And it seems to be the functioning of the mind that sets the frequency or the vibration that we experience here as our everyday consciousness. And if we can either change how we use our mind, and that's when I was talking about beliefs, and choosing our response to situations and focusing on gratitude and the honor and respecting of ourselves and others, those change some of the ways in which we use our mind. If we could, for a moment, suspend this kind of evaluating functioning of the mind, we would move into a very awakened state. And that is one of the big differences in different levels of consciousness, is how we choose, it literally is a choice, choose to use the immense power of our mind. And as we choose to use it in different ways, we find that our frequency or our vibration or our consciousness becomes more expanded, more inclusive, less judgmental, more respectful, more honoring, as we expand more and more and more. When we are using our mind, we are evaluating continually what we like, what we don't like, what is good, what is bad. And I know many of us think, well, that's what we need to do. That's how we stay alive. That's how we earn our living. That's how we function. And I really understand that. And I know there are aspects of our life where that level of looking at life can be very helpful. And yet there are many, many other ways in life in which we use our mind to evaluate continually or to judge what's going on. Somebody's driving too fast or too slow. They should be walking across the street faster or slower. The color of the building should be a different color. It should be painted. This lampshade is crooked. I don't like the tone of that voice. Their hair looks funny today. I mean, whatever it is that we are evaluating, we are continually using that portion of our brain, which is part of our earlier development, part of the reptilian and mammalian portions of our brain, those beginning developmental levels, where that kind of signal from the world around us was an important part of survival. It was how we found our food and recognized our predators. And so we needed that kind of continual evaluation of the world around us for our safety and for our continued well-being. In the world most of us live in today, we no longer need that type of evaluation so vigilantly. We have tuned up that sort of survival instinct to take in information around us all of the time in ways that create stress in our being, worries and concerns. My goodness, we have worries and concerns about all kinds of things that may or may not happen, that perhaps have happened and they're finished. And so what we want to really begin to do is realize that the mind really is the challenge, and is the ways in which we use the mind, the judgments, evaluations that we do with our mind, that really holds us at a certain level of consciousness. And the quieter, the less judgment that we can do with our mind, the more open and receptive we stay to life as it is, and therefore the more balanced we remain, and the wiser decisions we can make. Many of us have been in life-threatening situations. And we find in those moments of life-threatening situations, we are no longer evaluating or judging or trying to figure out something. We are in a moment of response that comes from a very different place of our being. And it is provides a response that we probably might never have even considered if we were trying to figure out how to handle a situation. I was looking back at my life, and I've probably had 5 times, maybe a little more, where I was in a situation that was truly life-threatening. And in those moments, something else stepped in. And this was not outside myself. It was a different part of myself stepped in and took over and allowed me to respond in ways I would never have ever dreamed of doing. So know that that part of our being is still there. And it comes from a much higher place now. And we can do things that are beyond our imagination in terms of immediate response to situations where we really need to take care of ourselves and respond. And other than that, our evaluating mind really tends to hold us back so often. There's one study that was done recently where someone set up a trampoline in a storefront and invited people in off the streets to jump on the trampoline. These were just everyday people passing by, and he invited them in one at a time for this study, had them jump on the trampoline, and read them complex mathematical problems and asked them the answers. And they knew the answer, the correct answer, immediately, because their mind couldn't think about it. They didn't know how to jump on a trampoline. Their mind was completely absorbed in just keeping their balance and jumping. And by doing that, the mind was out of the way, and this other part of our being was able to take over and know what was needed, know what was correct, know things that are beyond our usual everyday ways in which we use our mind. And we're just beginning to discover these aspects of the mind. So the mind, I should say, the mind as we use it today in our everyday life is what is in the way of allowing our frequency, that means our way in which we experience life, our consciousness. It's what is in the way of allowing that frequency to go up and up and up into fully awakened, completely connected with Source, absolutely guided and supported in every aspect and every moment of our life. And when we go into these I'll call it an exalted place, where our mind becomes quiet, the world around us becomes vivid color usually, and exquisitely crystal and precise and clear, not only in what we see visually or hear through our ears, but also in our interpretation and understanding of what's coming in. And what we take in is the life force, the energy of whatever it is we are seeing or feeling or hearing. And we do that in such a way that it comes through without the filters of the mind evaluating it. Someone in the studies of the development of intelligence realized that once we name something, we then generally stop learning much more about it. Now, this obviously is for everyday life. It wouldn't be a researcher, but once we name something, we then have a category to put it in, and our curiosity about it falls way down. And when we don't know what something is and we don't quite recognize it, it keeps us curious and open and available to take in whatever it is. And so our receptivity goes way up. And so what we want to begin to do is to use the mind in new ways. So I would like to do a process now that will help us to use the mind in these more exalted ways, in the more expanded ways, and to have the mind become more quiet in its everyday ways, which create stress and worry and concern in in issues and situations where it really is not needed. So let's do a process now to help us use the mind in new and more expanded ways. And once again, we'll sit quietly for a few minutes, and you can just allow your mind to be as quiet as you'd like. Let's begin now. Okay, and bring your attention back, please. The energy from the processes will continue with you to transform whatever it is that each process was focused towards. That energy will continue to be with you and help transform each one of those items. And that will continue for days or weeks or months until it can really help change the aspects of your being that we're focused on and that you would like to have different. And so know that even though the workshop might finish, the energy is just starting to really support and assist you in your life. And as always, the work is offered with great and deep honoring and respect for who you are and your individual path in life and your individual desires and hopes and dreams and needs. So just know that it is very personalized and exactly, precisely tuned for you. So I would like to move forward and perhaps see if we can do one more process that will really help support your transformation in the ways that you would like to have it. Because our individual motivations, that part of our being that motivates us, that gives us inspiration and excitement and energy, is probably a really important aspect of our being, that individual motivating inspiration. And it's very different for each individual. Some people find that they are very motivated by thinking about finding a life partner, a husband, wife, spouse, partner. Or others are very motivated for providing something for their children, and others may be motivated because they want to have a happier life, or maybe others are motivated because they want to have greater financial prosperity, or maybe you're motivated because you'd like to live in a different home that you like better, or have a different kind of job. Or, it really is not so important what motivates us, but rather that we allow that motivation to go ahead and move us forward. You recall that I said each one of us is on a different path, and we each have our own journey and our own steps to take on that path. And that includes different things that motivate us. So some people are very motivated to be out and becoming successful in the world, and other people are very motivated to feel successful through some kind of an internal change. Other people are motivated to help animals or clean up the waters or save the plants or feed the hungry or perhaps design great homes or new furniture or clothing. The motivation is not, the type of motivation is not so important, because we are each at a different point in life, and all of us at some point have different motivations that assist us. So recognize what motivates you. Honor what motivates you. It's part of your next step. It's here to give you the energy and the joy and the playfulness and the delight in life to help you move through to the next step. So notice that motivation. What inspires you? What gives you energy? What draws your attention? What helps you feel happy? What is that? And then follow that, pursue it. Allow more of that into your life. Maybe it's being around children or holding babies or talking to someone who's older, or walking in the garden or planting flowers or looking at the sky or studying some new course or learning to knit or whatever it is. It could be a huge variety. If you have that draw towards it, then enjoy it. Allow that to nourish you, to motivate you, to excite you, to feed you, because that will be part of your learning. That will be part of your wisdom that you'll gather, and it will be part of who you are becoming, the next steps of peeling away or releasing the next layers of personality as we move into this core of our being that is filled with joy and filled with delight and filled with wonder. So respect that, honor that part of you, and allow it to blossom within you. Maybe you just love to read. Well, then do that. You know, do what it is that makes you feel happy and joyful and motivated and excited and glad to be alive. Find those things and focus on them. Bring them into your life and allow them to help support you. So this next process I would like to do is to assist each individual in recognizing those aspects of their being. And there may be quite a few of them in your life, or maybe you just have one that really motivates you. But to recognize what it is that really motivates you and allow that to be honored and brought in as part of your life and allow that to develop. It will be amazing to you to discover how those simple activities that bring you joy and motivation will often lead you into another step and evolve into something that you never anticipated and can really, really support your life. So we recognize these threads that are part of the tributary, the rivulets, the water, the flowing from source. These are the threads of the flow from source, because it gives us joy and excitement and motivation. And as we follow those, we then become more and more aligned with the trueness, the authenticness, the realness of that deep being within each one of us. So let's do a process right now to assist us in recognizing those aspects of our personality or our life or our being that bring us that kind of motivation or joy or interest or excitement, and to be able to pursue those and allow them to help transform us. So again, we'll sit quietly for a few minutes. Have your mind as quiet as you are comfortable having it, and we will focus the energy to assist each person with this motivation aspect. Let's begin now.